Jake Martinez woke up that morning like any other, not knowing that just a few hours later, he would have to make a decision that would change his life completely. The light of dawn crept through the small window of his third-floor apartment, illuminating the old walls. The sound of garbage trucks, bus horns, and sparrows calling to each other on the power lines outside created a familiar symphony of the city. Jake pulled his white shirt neatly on his body, adjusted his tie, and stuffed the lunchbox his mother had prepared into his backpack. For a 16-year-old boy, working at the luxury watch store Morrison's in the Sterling Mall was more than just a normal job. It was a chance for Jake to help his mother pay the mounting bills. He missed many basketball practices with his friends to pick up extra shifts, all for a simple wish, to help his mother cure her lingering cough and increasingly severe fatigue. Just then, Jake's eyes flickered to the two men behind the boy. They were wearing dark hoodies, their hoods pulled down low, covering most of their faces. Both were trying to keep their distance, but their eyes were fixed on the teenager in front of them. One of them had a black tattoo peeking out from under his sleeve, while the other had his right hand tucked into his pocket, his gait stiff as if he was clutching something. A chill ran down Jake's spine. Images from documentaries he'd watched with his mother flashed through his mind. Stalking eyes, deliberately maintained distance, concealed gestures, all signs of someone with bad intentions. But this was Sterling Mall, a place with tight security. Wait a minute, Jake squinted. That teenager, it was Barron Trump, the son of the President of the United States. But if it was Barron, where were the Secret Service agents? Jake swallowed. His heart was pounding so fast he could almost hear it. He should have gotten on with his job. The store rules were clear, no leaving the counter without a replacement. But what if he turned a blind eye and something bad happened? The thought made his hands clench the edge of the glass counter until they turned white. Sometimes doing the right thing means taking a risk, son. His mother's voice rang in his head like a reminder. Jake took a deep breath, then turned to Mr. Mofbustu Morrison, the store owner, who was busy arranging new watches in the display case. Mr. Morrison, I need to step out for a moment. I'll be right back. Hurry up, Jake. It's busy this afternoon. The owner didn't look up. Jake didn't answer. He walked out of the store as calmly as he could. He knew that running would alert the others, so he picked up his pace just enough to not attract attention. He kept praying that he was wrong, that everything was a misunderstanding. But instinctively, he knew he was right. Hey, Jake called out as he approached Barron. He tried to smile casually, as if meeting an old friend. I've been looking for you. Come on, or we'll be late. Barron was startled, his eyes flashing with panic. But when Jake leaned over slightly, lowering his voice enough for only Barron to hear, he immediately became serious again. Don't look back. There are two men following you. I work here and know the quickest way out. Trust me. Barron paused for a second, then as if he understood the situation, he nodded. Barron's voice trembled slightly, but he tried to sound casual. Sorry, I got lost. Thanks for finding me. The two teenagers quickly blended into the crowd. Jake could feel the eyes of the others still fixed on them. A cold sweat ran down his spine as he noticed one of the men veering off in the opposite direction, presumably to head them off at the front exit. Calm down, Jake. Just make it to the employee lobby and you'll be safe. The nearest service lobby was behind the food court, where only employees could enter and exit. He reached down for the employee badge strapped to his shirt, feeling the cold plastic against his palm and silently hoping it wouldn't malfunction. As he'd feared, as they neared the lobby entrance, the tattooed man was waiting on the other side, his eyes flashing with alarm as he saw Jake and Barron approaching. With no other choice, Jake nudged Barron forward and pushed through the crowd, picking up his pace. The lobby door was only a few feet away. Jake pulled out his badge and swiped it through the scanner with as much calm as he could muster. A soft beep sounded and the green light flashed. He pulled Barron through the door, then slammed it shut. Run! Jake shouted. Heavy footsteps echoed behind them, getting closer. Without looking back, Jake knew the two had somehow gotten in. But he couldn't stop to think. The hallway was long and narrow, with doors leading to storage rooms and technical areas. Jake could only glance at the metal signs on the walls, trying to remember the map of the hallway he'd seen when he was helping with deliveries. Downstairs. Security is there, Jake gasped. The two of them dashed down the metal stairs, Jake's shoes slipping on the steps, but Barron was quick to grab his arm. Their breaths echoed against the cold concrete walls. When the last door swung open, they both nearly fell into the downstairs hallway, where a blue sign on the wall clearly stated, Security Office. Help! Security! Jake yelled with all the strength he had left. Immediately, the door to the security office swung open. 2 guards appeared, followed by men in black suits with walkie-talkies and wireless headsets. The president's Secret Service had arrived. For a moment, the hallway froze. The 2 men in hoodies braked sharply when they saw the Secret Service team. One turned and ran, the other backed away, his hands still in his pockets as if he were holding something. But before he could do anything, security guards rushed in and tackled him to the floor. "Barron, are you okay?" Jake asked, his breathing still ragged. "I'm okay, thanks to you." Barron smiled slightly, though his face was still pale. A tall agent approached, looking at Jake sternly. "How did you know those people were following him?" I just saw them acting strange. I don't know anything more," Jake replied, trying to stay calm. "We'll need to talk to you for a bit. Please follow us." Jake watched as the agents surrounded Barron, then followed them into the security room. A vague feeling was growing in his heart that this was much more complicated than he had thought. Little did he know, his decision to help Barron Trump would change his life in ways he never could have imagined. The metal chair in the security room was cold against Jake's back. The small, fluorescent-lit room added to the tension. 2 agents in black suits stood before him, their faces expressionless. "Start from the beginning," Agent Chen said, his voice low and stern. Jake took a deep breath, trying to stay calm as he recounted everything. From seeing Barron, recognizing the 2 suspicious men, to the chase through the hallways and the encounter with the security team. He left no detail out. Every time he hesitated, Agent Chen would ask specific questions, as if to verify that Jake was telling the truth. "How did you know about the service corridors?" Agent Taylor asked. "I work at Morrison's Watches. I sometimes help the delivery guys through these corridors, so I know the way." "Did you know the other 2 men?" "No, but I remember one had a tattoo on his left arm, and the other had his hands in his pockets, which looked suspicious." Agent Chen made a note in his notebook, his eyes never leaving Jake. After a moment, he nodded. "Thank you. We'll check your statement. Now, we'll take you back to the store." Jake breathed a sigh of relief as he walked out of the security room. But when he saw Mr. Morrison waiting in the hallway, his nervousness returned. "Jake, follow me into the office," Mr. Morrison said, his voice calm but his eyes cold. The office was small and discreet at the back of the store. When the door closed, Jake stood still, trying to guess what the boss would say. But he already knew the outcome. "Jake," Mr. Morrison began, "I heard about what you did. You saved the president's son, but you also left your post without permission, leaving over $2 million of inventory unattended. If anything had happened, insurance wouldn't have covered us. But sir, I was only trying to help someone in danger. If I hadn't acted quickly, Barron could have been in trouble." "I understand. But rules are rules. I can't make any exceptions, no matter how good your reasons are." Mr. Morrison pushed the termination papers toward him. "We are forced to terminate your employment, effective immediately." The words landed like a punch in Jake's chest. He opened his mouth to explain, but no words came out. He thought of his mother, of his medical bills, of the rent that was due soon. Everything was falling apart. "Thank you for the opportunity to work here, sir." His voice softened, and he turned and walked out, head bowed, feeling like he had lost everything. That evening, when Jake returned to his small apartment, he couldn't hide his sense of failure. He had done the right thing, but the result was losing the only source of income to help his mother with her medical treatment. But he didn't have time to lament for long. The phone in his pocket kept vibrating. When he opened it, he was stunned to see hundreds of messages and notifications from social media. Someone posted a video of Jake dragging Barron through the service hallway. The clip was just over a minute long, but it quickly went viral. Comments started pouring in like a storm. "This kid deserves to be praised. Who would fire a hero? Morrison's Watches? Never shop there again. Jake Martinez, the guy who saved the president's son." Hashtags like "Justice for Jake" and #TeenHero quickly trended on Twitter. People shared his story not only for his courage, but also for the injustice of his firing. Major television networks began reporting on it. Jake went from an unknown teenager to the center of the nation's attention overnight. But amid the wave of support, a message sent him shivers. "You should worry about yourself. Don't meddle in other people's business." There was no sender's name, no phone number, just 6 short words, but enough to make Jake understand that this was far from over. A knock sounded on the door right after that scary message. Jake's mother ran to open the door and was stunned to see 3 men in black suits standing at the door. One of them flashed his badge. "We are Agents Rodriguez, Chen, and Taylor from the United States Secret Service. We need to talk to your son." Jake swallowed as the three agents entered the small apartment. His mother nervously pulled out chairs for them to sit, but Rodriguez shook her head. "We don't have much time. Tell me exactly what you saw at the mall." Jake repeated his story, this time adding more detail. Agent Chen opened his laptop and showed the video from the mall's security cameras. On the screen, the images of the two men in hoodies were clearer than ever. Jake pointed to the screen. "That's them." The one on the left had a tattoo on his arm. The one on the right had his hands in his pockets the whole time. Agent Rodriguez nodded. "We have identified them. Marcus Delgado and Ray Keller. Both are members of an international criminal organization that kidnaps celebrities for ransom. They have been tracking Barron Trump for weeks, trying to separate him from his security team. If it weren't for you, things could have ended badly." "But why did they send you threatening messages?" Jake asked worriedly. "Because you ruined their plans. You are now a threat to the entire organization. We believe they will not stop here." The air in the room seemed to freeze. Jake's mother squeezed her son's hand, and Jake felt a cold sweat run down his spine. "So, what should I do now?" "For now, we will increase the security for you and your mother. But you need to be careful. Don't go anywhere alone. If there are any unusual signs, call us immediately on this phone." Agent Chen handed Jake a black phone with no logo, only a few saved contacts. "And remember, don't tell anyone else about this." After the agents left, the apartment suddenly became eerily quiet. But Jake's worries had not yet subsided when the sound of police sirens and flashing lights suddenly appeared outside the window. Screams rang out, followed by the sound of shattered glass and gunshots in the dark night. "Get down!" Jake's mother shouted, pulling him down to the floor. Just then, Jake's secure phone rang. On the other end was Agent Rodriguez's tense voice. "They found your location. Stay inside, we're coming." As soon as Rodriguez finished speaking, the main door of the apartment shook violently as if someone was trying to break it down. Jake ran to help his mother up, his eyes darting to the fire escape window on the side of the apartment. "Mom, through the window! Hurry!" Without thinking, Jake helped his mother climb through the fire escape window and began to climb down the metal stairs. The footsteps of pursuers echoed on the stairs behind them, each step making Jake feel more and more panicked. But just as they were about to be caught up, the bright lights from a helicopter suddenly shone directly at them. "This is the FBI. Stop." The appearance of the helicopter and agents from all directions caused the attackers to retreat immediately. On the ground, a convoy of black SUVs approached. Agent Rodriguez jumped out of the first one and shouted, "Get in, hurry!" The car door closed as soon as Jake and his mother got in. The car sped off into the night at such a speed that everything outside was just a blur. Jake hugged his mother tightly, his heart pounding in his chest. He knew he had become the target of a dangerous criminal organization. But what he didn't expect was the truth behind it all. A secret that would change everything forever. The black SUV turned into a remote area, winding through deserted streets before entering an old warehouse. But when the iron gate opened, the sight inside stunned Jake. Behind the dilapidated facade was a state-of-the-art command center with a series of surveillance screens, flashing green LEDs, and agents moving quickly back and forth. "Welcome to one of our secret bases," Agent Rodriguez said, his voice a little softer after the tense events of the past few days. "You and Mom are safe now, but there are still some things you need to know." Jake and his mother were seated in a small but comfortable conference room. On the table was a large screen displaying profiles of the attackers, along with an image of Mr. Morrison, who, Jake had not expected, was the central figure in the case. "My boss, why is he involved in this?" Jake stammered. "Morrison is not just a normal businessman," Agent Chen explained. "He was the leader of a group that kidnapped the rich and famous for ransom. The watch store was just a front for him to collect information about his wealthy clients and launder the proceeds of his illegal activities. But your intervention ruined his biggest plan, kidnapping Barron Trump, the son of the President of the United States." Jake was silent, the pieces of the puzzle slowly coming together in his mind. The training on remembering customer details, Mr. Morrison's seemingly harmless questions, all for the purpose of gathering information. "That's why you're a target. They can't let you live as a witness," Agent Rodriguez continued, his eyes serious. "But thanks to you, we have enough evidence to take down this organization. However, there's something more important that you need to know." The door to the room opened. Jake and his mother turned around, and both of them couldn't hide their surprise when they saw three people walking in: President Donald Trump, First Lady Melania Trump, and Barron Trump. "Jake, you saved my son's life," President Trump said in a deep voice. Our family owes you a debt that can't be repaid. Without you, who knows what would have happened. Thank you, young man." Jake stood up, not knowing what to say. Barron approached, smiling sincerely. "Thank you. Without you, I wouldn't be standing here today." Jake's heart pounded with emotion, but the surprise didn't stop there. President Trump looked at the agents and continued. "We know your family is having a hard time. Therefore, I have arranged for your mother to be treated at the best hospital in the United States. All expenses have been paid. In addition, the government will support the living expenses of the mother and son in the coming time. And Jake, if you really want to help others, I'm offering you a full scholarship to any college of your choice. After graduation, if you want, a position with the Secret Service or the FBI is always waiting for you." Those words were like a wind blowing away all the burden on Jake's shoulders. He looked at his mother, her eyes glistening with tears of happiness. But there was still one thing that bothered Jake. "Mr. President, how did everyone get there in time to save me and Mom tonight? How did they know those people were going to attack us?" President Trump and the agents exchanged glances before Rodriguez spoke up. "We received an anonymous call from someone who has been with you all this time. That person has been monitoring Morrison's organization for years and decided to intervene when they realized you were in danger." The door to the room opened again. A familiar figure appeared before Jake's astonished eyes. Maria, the barista at the coffee shop in Sterling Mall. But today, instead of an apron and waitress uniform, she wore a neat black suit. She smiled as she walked over, pulling out an identification card from her pocket. "Agent Maria Ramirez, FBI. Nice to see you again, Jake." You're an FBI agent?" Jake exclaimed, his eyes widening in surprise. "That's right. I've been working undercover at Sterling Mall for the past 3 years, investigating Morrison's network, but I couldn't act sooner because we needed solid evidence of his kidnappings. But then you showed up, and thanks to your courage, we had the chance to take down the entire network." Jake shook his head, still unable to believe what was happening. "But why did you trust me? I'm just a watchboy." Maria smiled gently. "Not everyone dares to stand up and help others in such dangerous situations, but from the first day I saw you open the door to help an old lady carry a heavy bag in the shopping mall, I knew you were special. Your kindness and bravery are what changed everything." In the days that followed, Jake's life changed forever. His mother was treated at Johns Hopkins Hospital with the best care, and her health gradually improved. The old apartment was replaced with a new, safer, and more comfortable one. The media continued to praise Jake as a teenage hero, but he gradually withdrew from the public spotlight to focus on his studies and spending time with his mother. As for Morrison and the members of his organization, they were all convicted and given appropriate sentences. Sterling Mall, once a hotbed of illegal activity, was now peaceful again under new management. One spring afternoon, Jake stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his white shirt and tie, the uniform he had worn when he worked at Morrison's Watches. But today, he was no longer a salesman. The tag around his collar read, "Trainee, FBI Youth Training Program." Jake smiled, his eyes shining with confidence. He knows the journey ahead is long, but now he has found his path, to protect others, just as he saved Barron Trump that day. And it all starts with one small choice, the choice to do the right thing, no matter the cost.